Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today, in the weekly announcements that came out on Arena, they have introduced the ban list for the almost no ban list, historic no ban list event. It's starting November 2nd, running for about 2 weeks. They did this a couple months ago. It was probably the most fun I've had on Arena in ever. But it's basically pretty much every card on Arena is legal except for 3. They got rid of Channel, which was just doing stupid like turn 2, they win. Demonic Tutor's gone, and Tybalt's Trickery is gone. Everything else on the client is legal. I believe last time as well, it was all the unbuffed, so 3 mana Teferi, 4 mana Fires, all those cards as is. So I did do a video last time. We covered 5 decks then. So things like Field of the Dead, various kind of Grixis decks. Obviously, Bowmaster's been nerfed since. I don't know if they're going to do the unnerfed version. If so, then that makes the deck a lot better. But we're going to look at 5 different decks. So I'll link the other video as well if you're interested. But these are 5 decks that I want to try out. And we're just going to jump into it. I'll paste all the deck lists, so don't worry. Keep in mind, I haven't tested any of these yet, but this is the general starting point. So we're going to start off with Mono Red Abosh Blood Moon. So Blood Moon is banned in Historic. I really wanted to punish greedy mana bases. Wizards won't make me, so now I get to do it here. So Abosh means all our cards have to be odd. So every card in our deck is an odd 1 or 3 mana. And we have Dragon's Ray Chandler, gets bigger, helps us kind of find our key cards. There's an evasive threat. Lightning Bolt, this is banned, but just flexible removal. Swift Spear, so it's kind of a prowess shell. So you have your 1-drops, Swift Spear. We have Ragavan, which can help us ramp into turn 2 Blood Moon. I want to maximize turn 2 Blood Moon. I want my opponent to be like, oh no, I don't have basics, and concede. So Ragavan, Strike It Rich, maximizing our chance and likelihood of hitting turn 2 Blood Moon. We have Spikefield Hazards as just a kind of reducing our mana cost. Some Strangles just as some more removal. Seasoned Pyromancer could refill our hand. We have Fable the Mirror Breaker that could kind of churn through our deck, find us key cards, then copy Seasoned Pyromancer late, and then Bone Crusher Giant as well. This also gives us more options in terms of 2 mana removal if we don't have our accelerants early. Mana base, we got some copies of Den, Ramanop Ruins, as well as Fiery Islet. So this can give us some card advantage. I might just go up the full set of Islets, to be honest, but I want to play some games. Notably with Blood Moon, once Blood Moon is on the field, non-basics are mountains, so these just become basic mountains. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, locking our opponents out of being able to tap for non-basics, and we kind of get them that way, which is always fun. The greedier the deck, the more we punish, and I get to use the sweet art that I crafted finally. So that was Mono Red. We then have no ban list Storm. So Storm's a lot of ways to build it. I want to play Necropotence. I've actually never cast a Necropotence in my life. I know, I played EDH and never cast it, but Necropotence as well as Bolas's Citadel is kind of our key. And we are going Golgari here. There's a lot of different ways, but I had, when Brainstorm was legal, I had a Sultai list with Witherbloom Apprentice and the Simic Apprentice, where you could basically draw through all the lands out of your deck and then just drain them out that way, and then kind of beat them with Tendrils. But my thought here, we have a bunch of cheap artifacts. Mishra's Bauble is free in this format as well. So Dark Ritual, so we can turn 1 Necropotence, and then basically pay 7 life, draw a bunch of cards, and kind of go from there. So this put in your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So we can basically put a bunch of cards in our hand, refill that way there. It does skip our draw steps, so things like Deadly Dispute get worse after. But it's kind of getting ahead. Shambling Gas can also help us ramp, as well as the Deadly Dispute. We gain some life off this. Ideally, we get Bolas's Citadel out, or just through Necropotence. We're able to Necropotence, draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of cheap things, and then Beseech the Mirror, any of these cards here, to find Tendrils of Agony as our win condition. So, or we can find you could even Beseech the Necropotence if you need to break the card draw lock, and then kind of go from there. But kind of storming off, play a bunch of stuff, and then either with Witherbloom Apprentice, drain them out, gain a bunch of life off Weather the Storm, but your main win condition is Tendrils of Agony, kind of mixed into there. One of those easier, let me show you once we get live. So next up is no ban list Natural Order. So the easy way to do is just play Natural Order in the Elf Shell, and then go get Crater Hoof. That's the like what they do in Legacy. I wanted to do an Intruder Alarm version of Elves, so we're going to be playing that separate, but easily can be switched Intruder Alarm for Natural Order. But Natural Order is basically sack a green creature and search your library for a green creature, put it into the battlefield, and then shuffle. So I wanted to do like combo kind of cheating. So we have Defense of the Heart. If opponent has 3 or more creatures, we sack Defense of the Heart, and we get to search for 2 creatures from our library, put them into the battlefield. We could also Tooth and Nail and basically combo that way there. So we have 4 ways to do the Xenagos World Spine Worm combo. The Natural Order can also just naturally get a World Spine Worm. It could get some copies of Atraxa, or it could get Coma, all kind of mixed into there. Outside of that, just 16 1-mana accelerants. This kind of helps fix our mana as well. Some Plaza Heroes to cast the off color, and then some Temple Gardens and Breeding Pools. Some Teferis to protect against the combo turns, and then Oko because this card is busted. So kind of a oops all combos. Like there's probably one too many combos here, but I want to have some fun and play all these cards. Defense of the Heart is probably the most notable that we can probably get rid of, to be honest. And then just play like Golos probably in the place, and then play like Golos World Tree. So that'll probably be where we end up, but I want to try the Defense of the Heart to see how it plays in here. Then we go to Intruder Alarm Elves. So Intruder Alarm is, there's like a few ways you can make infinite mana, but I just don't want to think big brain. So Intruder Alarm, Emery, and Ornithopter is basically infinite mana with Ashnod's Altar. You sack, get 2 colorless. It's just a matter of how we translate that colorless. There's probably some combo with Karn and stuff you can do there, with Aetherflux Reservoir as well. But that's like a lot of cards moving in. In this case here, Intruder Alarm, creatures don't untap during their controller's unstap. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures you control. Impervious Perfect is basically a combo enabler on its own. So we can tap a green and we create an elf that untaps Impervious Perfect. And then as long as we have another 1-mana accelerant, Elvish Mystics, Llanowar Elves, we get to basically go infinite. So that basically makes infinite creatures that we can get into play. If we have multiple tap creatures, we could also make infinite mana. Elvish Archdruid also allows us to generate huge amounts of mana, kind of mixed into there. So once we have all this mana, we can do a couple things. We can basically draw through our deck with Leafcrown Visionary or with Elven Chorus, which also makes all our creatures incidentally tap for mana as well, which is really nice. So even the creatures that don't normally tap for mana now tap for mana. And it lets us cast creatures from the top of our library, so we could storm off that way. We can pay mana with Leafcrown Druid to draw more cards. And then we can pump all our mana into either infinite pumps of Elvish Warmaster or Allosaurus Shepherd. Well, Allosaurus just gives base power. So we could do it once, but with like the Warmaster, it's multiple instances of +2/2. And then we can also just Finale of Devastation for X10, get any creature, and then everything gets +XX in haste, so we can just do like infinitely large. We can play a Craterhoof in here, I guess, but I wanted to just try like this. We should have enough ways to kind of win the game once the combo's going. Man base just got like some Waterlogged Groves in there for some more card advantage, and then a bunch of duels kind of mixed in. And then lastly, the card's so powerful, they banned it. So Merfolk. I really wish we had Aether Vial. We don't. But I want to see how potent this Spreading Seas would be. Now you can go Simic and you can go with the Collected Company route. I want to try going mono blue tempo oriented. And the reason being, we have both Counterspell and Memory Lapse in this format. So we can play a pretty heavy flash based version of the deck. So we have a bunch of 1-drops, generally getting your 1-drop down and then protecting it or flashing in other threats. Spell Pierce, Memory Lapse, Counterspell, 10 counterspells, plus 2 copies of, where'd you go, Jawari's Dispute. So we have a bunch of counters we can interact with our opponent. The Spreading Seas turns one of their lines into an island. We can potentially color screw them. It also turns on Master of Pearl Trident, which gives us Island Walk, so it makes our creatures unblockable. We have flash creatures in Brineborn Cutthroat, which gets bigger with more instants, as well as the Merfolk Trickster, which can also then tap down creatures. With Mirror Regery, it lets us tap and untap permanents, notably permanents, not creatures. So we can untap our lands. So this allows us later game, we can basically cast like a creature, untap our lands, and then have up instants as well. Sylveon's also really good. Draws us cards and then gives our other merfolks ward. Again, Simic might be the route. I want to try the counterspell version. If I were to go Simic, it would basically just be replacing these counterspells here and the Mist Cloak Herald with Collected Companies, as well as the Simic Lord. And that's probably it, I think, at this point. You could sometimes play the additional 1-drop that gets bigger, but actually, there's also the Merfolk, the 2-mana reveal a Merfolk, draw a card. I think in this version going flash oriented, but I want to try this out, see how it plays out. The one thing that we might be a little short on is card advantage in this particular variant, but we'll give it a shot, see how it plays out. Again, Simic is totally reasonable as well. The big thing is you're getting the unblockable. I don't think this card is anywhere near necessary to be banned, but give it a shot and kind of go from there. In any case, I'm going to wrap up with these 5. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about. I'm really looking forward to blood mooning people. But let me know in the comments. Catch you next time. Thanks for watching.